So Excel got this great new function called TEXTSPLIT. It takes care of a problem that we've all been having for years. That's to split text, especially if it has multiple spaces or it has multiple commas or a mix of different delimiters. So the more splitting you needed, the bigger your problem became and actually the bigger your formula ended up being. That's all over now because TEXTSPLIT takes care of it all. You can even combine it with other functions to make Excel do stuff that we could never do before. I guess you just want to see it, right? So let's get to it. Let's start with the basics. So here I'm collecting different skills from different people and everything is in a single cell. I want it split into multiple cells. No problem for TEXTSPLIT. I'm just going to start typing TEXTSPLIT. It's right here. I need my text, which is this one, and then I have to define my delimiter. Based on what do I want to split these? Well, in this case, it's a comma. So I'm going to put a comma in quotation marks, close the bracket, press enter, and I get everything split. But take a closer look at this. I have a comma and a space, so there is an extra space that comes after these. Now you have different options to get rid of this space. You could put this function inside the trim function, and that's going to trim out that space. Or, I'm just going to press Ctrl Z to go back, you could adjust your delimiter to be a comma space. You end up with the same result. What's the problem when I copy this down? Is that going to work everywhere? No, because some people used a semicolon as a delimiter, and that ends up messing my results. Well, no problem for TEXTSPLIT because you can add multiple delimiters in here. You just have to put it inside curly brackets. I'm going to find my curly brackets on the keyboard. We need to close this as well. And inside, we are going to define our multiple delimiters. I'm just going to add my separator, and inside the quotation marks, I'm going to add my second delimiter, which in this case is a semicolon space, and close the quotation mark. You can add as many delimiters as you want. To be on the safe side, why not add a colon as well and press enter. Now, when I pull this down, everything is split properly. If I happen to add a colon and Excel here, it works properly. Next up, let's look at a case where we have to split the name into first and last, but we don't want to get this Mr. and Mrs. in there. We're going to use TEXTSPLIT. The text is this, and we have a space as a delimiter. Now, if I just leave this as is and press enter, I do end up with that Mr. and Miss in there. But remember what we saw before. I can add multiple delimiters. So I could treat these Mr. and Mrs. as their own delimiters. So in quotation marks, I'm going to put Mr. and let's add another one for Miss. And let's close that curly bracket. Now when I press enter, I get everything split, but I end up with this empty cell here. I want to ignore empty cells. Well, that's not a problem because TEXTSPLIT has multiple arguments that are optional. We have a row delimiter. We don't need that right now, but we need this one. Ignore empty cells. We are going to put true for that. And now when we press enter, we have first and last names. In this case, we have our data written like this in a single cell, and we want to bring it into multiple cells that looks like this. No problem for TEXTSPLIT. Let's start with TEXTSPLIT. Our text is this. Now we can make use of the column delimiter and the row delimiter. So what do we want the separator of the columns to be? It should be the equal sign. So let's put that for our column delimiter. Next is the row delimiter. That should be the comma. I'm going to go with comma, space, and close the bracket, press enter, and I get everything spelled properly. Next up, let's do something really cool. We want to take our skills here and we want to get them back in a single cell, but we want them internally sorted. So this one should have Excel first, and then Google Sheets, then Power BI, PowerPoint, and Word last. How do we do that? Well, we're going to use a few functions together to get what we want. First, I'm going to start from the inside. We're going to use TEXTSPLIT to split these up. That's our text. My delimiter here is a comma, but here I noticed I don't have a space, whereas I have a comma space there. So to be on the safe side, I'm just going to go with a comma as the delimiter, but I'm going to put this inside the trim function so that I don't have any space at the beginning of the words. Now that I have everything split separately, I can use the sort function and get these sorted. My array is this. My sort index is just the one row that I have, so I'm just going to skip that argument. The sort order default is ascending. I'm going to skip that argument because I want the default, but this is something I don't want to skip, and I can't skip because I am sorting by columns in this case. So I need a true for that last argument. I close the bracket, press enter. I have everything sorted, but I don't want them on separate cells. I want to bring everything together again into a single cell. So I'm going to use the text join function and stitch these back together. My delimiter is a comma space in quotation marks. I can ignore empty cells in case I have nothing or just a space between the delimiters. And last is my text, which is the formula I wrote before. Close the bracket, press enter, and we have everything internally sorted. We get Excel first, then Oracle, Power BI, and last is SAP. Amazing functions that help us do amazing things. So as you can see, this function is like the formula version of text to columns feature that we have in Excel, except it's smarter and it's a function, so it's dynamic. What do you think about this? Are you excited about this development? Let me know in the comments. As usual, thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. Subscribe if you aren't subscribed, and I'm going to see you in the next video.